Welcome to Sportz Journeyz, powered by the Biz Dojo. In this episode, we're joined by Connor McLennon. Connor, welcome.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, we're super excited to have you here. For those of you who don't know Connor, Connor is a hockey player. Spent the last 3 years in the WHL with the Kootenay/Winnipeg Ice, and most recently in the NHL entry draft was taken by the Philadelphia Flyers. So lots of exciting things going on with you these days.
Yeah, it's been a pretty hectic year. The way kind of things have panned out and how our season went this year. Living in Regina in a dorm, and then not being able to go to a development camp. So just getting home from Philadelphia actually this week. So it's been a pretty hectic couple months, but it's all been worthwhile, and I'm just kind of thankful to be able to play this year, I guess.
I bet. We're definitely going to dive into that a little bit. I can't imagine you get through a year or, these last couple of years without a ton of resiliency and mental toughness. So we're definitely going to chat about that today. First off, though, just curious, what inspired you to get into hockey? I mean, obviously, Canadian boy, you grew up in Wainwright. It's kind of born to you a little bit, but, early on, are there any memories that come to mind of what made you want to start playing hockey in the first place?
I think just first time I got on the ice, I remember it was actually CAD skate, and Mason Shaw's sister was helping me out, and that's kind of the first time I was on the ice. So just the little things like that. But to get into hockey, I think the biggest thing for me was just the passion I had each and every time I was on the ice. Just being in a competitive environment is kind of the biggest thing that's kept me moving forward in hockey, and why I'm so passionate about it.
Was there a time frame you can think of when you were like, pro is where I want to go? Like, I mean, obviously from Wainwright, I remember hearing about you in Bantam, sort of the next big thing coming up, Connor McLennon. But was there a point where you realized that, professional hockey was a realistic thing for you?
I think when I moved off to Kelowna, for my first year at Bantam, that's kind of when I realized, like, this is kind of what I want to do. Like, hockey is kind of where I want to take my passion to, and that was kind of the first time. And then after that, it would probably just have to be the Western League draft. So getting selected second overall, and just knowing I was, I guess, kind of an A class for my age group was probably the biggest thing to keep me motivated and wanting to get to the next step and continue my journey. So that's kind of when I knew that this is what I want to do.
So you come up through, the passion when you start, you start, getting onto some teams, you work your way through the Bantam, you get into now the Winnipeg Ice, but you've had a few challenges along the way. You had a team that moved. There's been a couple of seasons now that have kind of disappeared into the ether with the COVID impacts. How do you deal with that? What's your approach to those challenges?
Yeah, for me personally, last year, so my draft year, I guess, I broke my collarbone right after Christmas. I think it was like January 10th. And so I was working my way back. I was supposed to get in the last couple regular season games and then playoffs. We had a really good team, and we were supposed to go far. And then I was supposed to actually play on the Monday, and our season got canceled on the Saturday. So when all that happened, until the next time I played, it was like 15 months since I threw on a Winnipeg Ice jersey. So there's definitely some tough stretches along the road, but getting drafted, I guess, in September, early October, I think it was, but getting drafted was huge for me to just keep me motivated and know I was still able to compete, I guess, because you kind of lose some confidence for not playing that long, and you have some bad times and you have some low spots, but just having the right people to talk to and keeping yourself in the right state of mind and continue training and staying on the ice and continue doing what you love, I guess, was probably the biggest thing for me to not give up, I guess, in those 15 months. Any
tips or tricks that helped get you through?
I think the biggest thing I kind of incorporated was first thing when I wake up, I just do a little meditation to kind of get me ready for the day. And then right before I go to bed, it just helps me fall asleep easily at night. I shut my phone off. I do it for like 5 minutes. It's just a quick little thing I do each and every time. And then that kind of just gets me focused for the day. And then right before I go to bed, it just prepares me for a good sleep. So it's nothing too crazy. But those are that's what I've noticed really helps me.
Along the way, Connor, you said 15 months in between throwing on the Ice jersey. You spent a little bit of time in Drayton Valley back in the AJ. What did you take from that experience? I know it was only a handful of games, but just to get back on the ice with the boys, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, it was huge, I think. So that was kind of important for me to just know I can still play, and for not playing for so long, go there and have a little bit of success as I did, and have a good. Eric Thurston was really good, welcoming me in, and the guys were great there. So I obviously owe a lot of kudos to Drayton for even letting me come. It was only for a handful of games. And they knew I wouldn't be back. So I think it was just a super diligent thing that they did to just let me come and play for them.
That's awesome. You mentioned how much it meant for you to get drafted. Obviously a huge day for anyone that happens for, and probably against a lot of odds, and I'm sure this comes up a lot is your size, being 5'7". Is it 5'7", or have you grown at all? Is that
I'm right about 5'8" now. Yeah. Just
5'8". Yeah.
Grown about an inch since COVID. So
there you go. That every inch helps. And I mean,
yeah.
there are players who at that height have played. And, I think of Marcus Stroman with his height doesn't measure heart. And, it's definitely possible, but, I would assume there's a stigma around it. And I was actually reading, I'm a big fantasy hockey player, and Dauber has his projection out for you. And it reads, a diminutive forward who has offensive skill for days. He uses his speed to attack the slot, whether it be through his passing or ability to carry the puck into dangerous areas. He will need to get stronger, but his skill is worth the boom or bust potential. How do you feel when you hear something like that? Like, that's pretty high praise from, I don't know, one of the authorities on fantasy hockey, that, you've got that fantasy skill, or not even fantasy, you've got the skill to play in the NHL. And, obviously you've proven that you can play at elite levels with your size. So how does that feel, and what do you think that looks like moving forward?
Yeah, it's getting a little bit more common now. You're seeing guys like Braden Point, Alex DeBrincat at 30 goals this year. So you see guys that are my size and that do it. Just because how strong, how good as skaters they are, how well they shoot the puck. Both those guys are kind of the two I'd model my game after, especially maybe more so DeBrincat for me, being a shoot first guy. But just seeing what they've done and how younger smaller guys have kind of just started to implement themselves into the game. They're a key piece. You look at Yamamoto on the Oilers, just how well he forechecks, the little things like that. So knowing that the game's kind of transitioning in that way is definitely a huge confidence booster for myself. And then hearing that's just a huge praise, I guess. And again, just another confidence booster. So, yeah.
So when you're a little smaller, you sometimes have to put in a little extra effort. What does it mean for you what does it mean when you put in a full effort? Like if someone says, hey, you put in a full effort, what does that mean to you? And I guess subsequent to that, when you don't put in a full effort, how do you deal with that? How do you come back?
For me, I think just knowing when I leave the gym or when I leave the rink, or even just after a game or after a training session, kind of just looking back on it. For me, it's always just, did I do everything I could to get better today? And if I did that, I would leave the gym or rink with a smile on my face, as I usually do. And if obviously everyone has some tough days, and if you don't leave it out there that day or something's going on, I think just either talking it over with someone, maybe talking to your trainer that day, and just kind of letting them know what's going on, so you can black off or whatnot. So just kind of being honest with yourself is the biggest thing for me. Knowing when I gave it my all, or knowing if I left a little bit in the tank. So just the honesty part's probably the most important for me.
Are there moments where you you can kind of catch that in a game or a practice where you're like, I'm not all here, and you can kind of reset? And how do you go about doing that?
For me in a game, I notice when I lose my focus a little bit. I try not to be too focused, I guess. I'm a little bit looser guy in the room or before games, but I think before games, I kind of just sit in the empty rink on the bench for 10 minutes by myself. I'm just doing some breathing exercises and putting myself in the right state of mind. And that 10 minutes kind of just sets me up. And then when I get in the room, I can be a little looser because I know I can set myself back to that, just doing the little exercises, breathing, or just kind of putting myself in the right state of mind. So that's kind of what I do before games and when I lose track, I guess, a little bit.
Sounds like you've got a bit of a pre-game ritual. Any other habits or rituals that you can share?
I'm not a super superstitious guy, a whole bunch. I'd say I always go out first after the goalie before each period for warm up. I got a couple handshakes with some of the guys, and then other than that, nothing too crazy. Other than that 10 minutes I take before every game, kind of just set myself up for the game. I tape my stick at the same time. I set it in the same spot. So just kind of little things that get myself in a routine, I guess, but I wouldn't say superstitions.
Connor, one of the key things in, I would say, any sport or business is, and getting to the next level requires being coachable to some degree. And a lot of times that means maybe hearing something that you don't want to hear, or taking criticism, productive criticism, as it were. Were there any coaches along the way that really helped you maybe take your game to the next level, or really showed you something about yourself that maybe you didn't see up to that point? And any stories you'd like to share about that?
I've been really fortunate my whole career to have good coaches. I mean, growing up, kind of novice Adam, even Pee Wee, my dad was always my coach, assistant coach, kind of helping me out. So he would drive me to the rink, and then he'd come on the ice and help me out. And toddler ends and Pee Wee, he was great for me. He was super knowledgeable, I guess, for that age, and just kind of teaching you the right things. Because if you don't learn it then, it's going to be super hard to get taught and or bantam midget, I guess. So learning the little things about the game just in Pee Wee. You're still young, you're still learning, obviously. And then bantam, my 2 years in bantam, I had Ed Zawatsky as my head coach, and Ed was great. He let me showcase my skill, but then when it was time to lock it down, he taught me the little things of playing defensively and playing on the right side of the puck, and I think that was super important. And then midget Matt Tassoni. Matt played a lot of years pro in the AHL. I think he got some NHL games too, but he was just all around a good coach for me, keeping me honest, similar to Ed, just keeping me on the right side of the puck. So when I did make the transition to junior under James Patrick, who's still my coach and will be next year for my fourth year, he's just been great for me. I was 16, a little guy. I think I weighed like 150 pounds coming in the Western League, and the life lessons, I guess, James has taught me to just be a good person. And when I was 16, I thought I could just be a skilled player and be the guy when I was 16, and I learned that year that you got to earn it. I played my first 20 games on the fourth line and whatnot, so you kind of just got to learn the ropes and take every day like you want to get better, because if you don't, you're going to stay on the fourth line, I guess. So James has allowed me to have success in the league and to help me get drafted. So I owe a lot of success to him for sure.
Well, and a lot of folks who find success like you found, they kind of come up with a few other people who have similar success, and you support each other along the way as well. And I know Peyton Kreps, someone that you've played with, been a close person in your success as well. What do you think of when you see someone like him, make his NHL debut like he did a few weeks ago?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I played all 24 games with him this year, and he was always my centerman, and I owe a lot of my success over the last 2 years to him. He was the driving force to our team both years. He's a great leader. He's a great guy. So seeing him get to play in his first NHL game, you're just rooting for a guy like that, how hard he works and how good of a teammate he was and how much he helped me out. We still keep in contact, whether it's via text or whatnot. So we're pretty good buddies now, and it was a lot of fun playing with him, and he'll have a long NHL career for sure.
Hopefully you'll get to play against him soon.
Yeah.
Amazing. Looking forward, Connor. You've got first and foremost, you've got some COVID quarantine to get through. You've got an off season to get through here, and looking ahead to next season, I assume you'll be a big part of the leadership group there in Winnipeg, and hopefully a normal season coming up. What kind of personal goals do you have, and what are you guys looking to accomplish as a team next year?
I wouldn't say I'm setting a whole bunch of pressure on myself in terms of personal goals. I think the less pressure I put on myself, and when I just go and play, that's when the pucks go in the back of the net, and that's when I'm playing my best game. So, I mean, you always have a little number in your head, and I'm not sure what that really looks like yet. I haven't put a whole bunch of emphasis on it, but I think in terms of a team goal, we've kind of been building in the right direction. I mean, we lose Krebsy, which is obviously a huge loss. He's our captain, but we're looking to have a really good year next year. I think obviously we want to lead our division and then take that into playoffs. We haven't been able to have a playoff game, a whole lot of us, so it'll be new for us. But I like our odds. We got a lot of great guys in our team, and our core group, for the most part, outside of Krebsy, will be coming back. So it'll be a super exciting year for sure.
Awesome. Amazing. And I know it's still, you're just getting into your career, but curious what other passions you have outside of the rink and anything that you have your eye on in terms of post-playing career that you're working towards. I know a lot of people we've had on the show are starting to dabble in coaching, and I don't know if that's something up your avenue, but what do you got your eyes on outside of the rink?
Outside of the rink, I'm a big golfer, so that's something I've been pretty passionate about kind of last 2 or 3 years. After the season, I always like going out and playing in the evenings after done training or done working on the farm. So I always want to continue golfing. I don't know if that'll be a profession of mine, but I'm super passionate about it. But in terms of after hockey, I guess I'd always love to stay in the game. I obviously have a huge passion for it. So whether it's coaching, scouting, in the management side, or even just the skills side, I want to stay in the game. I'm not too sure what that looks like yet, or if I will, for that matter. But right now, that's kind of what I see myself doing in the long run.
Awesome. Any quick Stanley Cup picks while we got you? We're getting into the second round here.
Well, I was an Oilers fan, but I still am. Obviously, that was tough to watch. And then playing in Winnipeg, so I've been a Jets fan. So now I'm rooting for them. But on the other side, I in my fantasy, I took the Lightning, so I got to root for them so I'd make some money.
Fair enough. Awesome. My dad was a big Leafs fan, so I will cheer for them. And I know, JP, you're the Habs fan, so we're going at it on Tuesday.
Oh, you guys got a big one Tuesday, yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you hopping in, Connor. We're going to finish off this week with a special new segment that we're going to try out, which is we really feel that tying this show back to charitable causes would be a cool thing to do. And both JP and I are passionate about mental health, especially with youth. And, Connor, I'm sure you're in the same boat. So we haven't landed on the exact charity that we're going to work with yet. We're in talks with a couple of them, but we're actually going to do a fun little trivia game with you. And some easy questions, a couple harder questions, but for every one you get right, JP and I, on behalf of the Biz Dojo, are going to donate $1 to a children's mental health charity. Sound good?
Perfect. Yeah, you betcha. Sounds good, guys.
Awesome. So first question, I'm going to toss you up a softball. What is the official animal representative of the town of Wainwright, Alberta?
The buffalo.
Correct. There we go. First ever question.
One in, one correct.
Correct. Awesome. JP, you got question 2?
I do. True or false? Only 2 people born in Wainwright have been drafted into the NHL.
False.
It's true based on the research we did earlier. So you are one
Really?
of 2 who was actually born in Wainwright to be drafted into the NHL.
Oh, I guess Mace wasn't drafted in Wainwright, was he?
No, he was born in Lloyd. That's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
I just thinking about that now. Yeah, you're right.
And Seuss, was Seuss drafted? Either way, he was born in Viking. So
Yeah.
You're the only guy. It was I can't remember the name of the other guy. He was from like the 70s for the Hawks. So there we go. We're 1 for 2.
Yeah.
True or false? Wade Redden is the all-time leading scorer of players born in Lloydminster.
True.
Correct. True. Wade Redden. He had over 1,000 games played and 400 and something points. Number 2 pick for I think he was actually picked by the Islanders and then traded to the Senators. But anyway, I digress. Next question. 2 for 3.
All right, multiple choice this time. What year did Kootenay win the Memorial Cup? 96, 02, or 2010?
02.
Correct.
There we go.
Here.
Next one. What year did the Winnipeg Jets move to Phoenix? 96, 02, or 2010?
96, I think.
Correct. Nailed it.
All right. Well, here's this one's extra good for you. What year did the Flyers come back from a 3-0 playoff series deficit to the Bruins? 96, 02, or 2010?
10.
Yep.
There you go. Got it.
That was a great series.
Yeah, you're doing very well.
I even remember the game 4 game, I guess, when they did come back and started.
I'd actually forgotten about that until I was doing a little research, and that was a great series. I got a 3-point question for you here.
Okay.
Which 3 players were on the infamous, I guess, or famous Legion of Doom line for the Philadelphia Flyers in the mid to late 90s?
Lindros.
That's one.
I was in the rink with their retired jerseys like a week ago, and I already forget. There's one other one retired, I know, and I don't even remember the other two guys. I know Lindros, but I forget the other 2.
1 for 3. The other 2 were LeClaire and Renberg.
Oh, LeClaire. I knew LeClaire. I didn't. Yeah.
You'll never forget that again.
Yeah. Not for now. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, think back to the rafters. How many cups have the Flyers won?
3?
2.
So close. 2.
So close.
All right. So we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 10. So that's $6 that we're going to donate, and we have a bonus question where you can double it.
Perfect.
Who was the captain of the Kootenay Ice when they won the Memorial Cup?
Jared Stoll.
It was Nigel Dawes.
Oh, it was too, wasn't it?
Who is Stoll?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was Stoll because I remember Stoll coming to talk to us when his jersey got retired and it didn't have a C on it. I should have known that.
You know what? We'll count it. Let's count it. Let's do 12. We'll do $12 to the charity, and this is going to aggregate up into a bigger number, hopefully, as we do these episodes. But we really appreciate you playing along, and thanks for coming on the show, Connor.
Yeah, thanks, Connor.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.